that disruption, we had to switch network so that we could serve you better. All right, okay. Please, you can join us. I'm waiting for everyone. If you can hear me clearly, Facebook, YouTube, please do join in so that we can continue with this episode. A lot that we have to discuss, a lot that we have to share. And for those of you that were in the value exchange program yesterday, this is like an icing on it. It's interesting. It's the same focus area that I've been on for the month of May, and you need to understand. So I was talking about scaling, all right, and I was explaining what scaling is. All right, and scaling basically is increasing impact without increasing effort at the same rates, at the same ratio. And that's very important. That's very important. All right, very important. So let's proceed. So one of the things that I want us to pay attention to is the power of leverage. One of the what happens many times is you do need leverage. You need leverage in everything that you do. It's not just enough to be at one level. You need, like the yeast in a cake mix, you need leverage that can multiply your momentum, that can propagate you, that can announce you, that can rightly position you, that can exponentially, deliver to you. And so the power of leverage is that you must understand that an effort, all right, can produce outcomes, but a system will help you get that outcome to many people. All right. And that way, the value that you have is able to serve a larger audience. The value that you have is able to serve a larger community. So, what leverage does for you is that it multiplies value. And you can have leverage through the systems that you have, through technology that you deploy, through teams that you build, through frameworks that you apply, through an understanding that you're standardized enough to be able to play in waters that allow you, leverage that allows you to be in the right community, in the right ecosystem, that allows you to be able to deliver, all right, allows you to be able to deliver to the right people and ensure that you have a larger audience. So you bake, for instance, all right, let's say you're in the confectionery or in the food area, you have to be able to have leverage to serve many people in such a way that more people get to be able to access your value, and more people are then in a position to exchange value for your value. And so, for example, if all you can do right now is serve people on your street, it means that people that are two streets away, even though they have value to exchange for your value, because they can't access the value that you have, not because your value or what you're doing or your service or the product that you're manufacturing or what you're selling isn't good, but your ability to be able to have a wider reach is absolutely important to your business being able to scale. So, how do you achieve this? And you achieve this via the power of leverage. The power of leverage. All right, let me do a quick check to be sure that I am reaching a larger audience right now. Um, a larger audience right now. Okay, so the power of and that's the power of leverage. Absolutely important. Absolutely important. Let's move on. Let's move on. So, and the thing about the power of leverage is that, hey, listen, leverage requires that you have systems. Like I said earlier, systems require that you have repeatable structures, repeatable processes. It also requires that you have people who are able to deliver and walk these processes. In other words, you're paying attention to teams and collaboration. And like I said earlier, you're also looking at how am I going to apply technology to what I do? How can I have digital amplification of what I do? Because listen, every single thing that you do can be multiplied. So without systems, you're limited. With systems, you have amplification. This is why systems create skill. So without systems, everything depends on memory, energy, and you. All that can burn out. But with systems, execution, and this is very important, execution becomes repeatable, number one. Quality becomes consistent, number two. Growth becomes sustainable, number three. So let's take each one after the other. With systems, execution becomes repeatable. It means that you can do what you're doing over and over again without necessarily you being the one doing it. Because guess what? Your processes are now automated. And because your processes are automated and there's a standardization now in your execution, quality becomes consistent. At every time somebody engages with you, it's either they're getting something better, but definitely not that they're getting something worse or getting something less. And every time that your quality becomes inconsistent, trust becomes an issue. So your systems therefore protect your consistency. And that's very, very important for us to note. Your system, you know, protects consistency. Now, let's talk about, I talked about teams and collaboration. Let me talk a bit about what I call the team factor. I say to people all the time that you need to find the right people that you can replicate yourself in, that can have alignment with a shared vision that you have, and can deliver for you exactly where your hands cannot reach. So, a singular person, an individual, has limits. There's no doubt about that. We talked about that already. But a coordinated team. Now, it's very important that you don't just have a team because there must be alignment, there must be congruence of effort, there must be alignment of vision. All right. But a coordinated team multiplies capacity. So this is how I expect you to scale. As you're building the team around what you're doing, as you're building a team, remember this team is powered by your structure, and that structure is powered by your culture. Now, as you're building a team, you're going to be able to scale through a few things. Number one, delegation. The ability to get people to clearly define what people are doing and to push certain responsibilities to them. Because responsibility requires an ability to respond, there must be empowerment. And so you must equip them. The way that I say it is this: you must work with three things. You must work with their hearts, you must connect to their hearts, you must build their heads by way of training, knowledge, and capacity development, and then they will yield their hands to you by the way of dexterity and skill. But you must also ensure that whilst you have delegation, the ability to push responsibilities to people in a very structured and coordinated manner, the ability to empower them, but that empowerment must come via a structure. And all of that together delivers shared ownership. All of that together, see, until your team has shared ownership of what your vision is, you don't have a team yet. But let me address something really quick. You see, when we talk of shared vision and shared ownership, I can't share in what you haven't communicated to me. I can't share in what hasn't taken into cognizance what my personal vision is. I can't share in what is detrimental to me. I can't share in what hasn't given me hope and an expectation. The responsibility of that communication is the vision bearer, you. Because whether you like it or not, their business person, their founder, whatever you're doing will be powered not by entrepreneurs, but will be powered by entrepreneurs. And you must be able to share. So until you bring people through delegation, through empowerment, through structure, it will be foolhardy to expect them to have shared ownership. Very, very foolhardy for them, to expect them to have shared ownership. So the team factor is very, very, very important. And this is why people make this mistake, the mistake that many make. You want growth. I speak with a lot of people many times. I consult for a lot of people many times. I have clarity sessions for a lot of people many times. And with all due respect, I hear this a lot. A lot of people want growth, but mentally refuse structure. They want growth, but they are slow to delegate. They want growth, but they have zero or little documentation. They want growth, but they're not putting in the work for standardization. So, in other words, when you don't do all of delegating, when you're not structuring, when you're not standardizing, when you're not documenting, when you're not measuring. Remember, I said on the value exchange program that there are seven things that you must pay attention to in every business, in every sphere. There's seven things you must pay attention to. You must pay attention to governance, you must pay attention to strategy, you must pay attention to structure, to skills, you must pay attention to culture, you must pay attention to people. And so when you don't pay attention to them through these things that you have refused, because it's either you give attention to it and that you embracing it, or you are rejecting it and that's you refusing it. And every time that you don't do that, what then happens, therefore, is that guess what? You remain stuck in survival mode. And survival mode is dangerous. Survival mode is not going to yield increase to you. Survival mode is not going to deliver to you. Survival mode is not going to give you the kind of impact that you want. Survival mode is not going to give you the kind of results or the kind of outcomes that you want. Survival mode is not going to do that for you. And that's why you need to embrace technology as a multiplier. So we're talking about how you're going to scale value. Remember, that's what we're talking about today. How do you scale value? How do you scale value? Technology as a multiplier. The beautiful thing about technology is that you're able to multiply the value that you give so that you can reach more people per time and then more people can exchange value for what you have. So technology allows value to reach faster. Technology also allows value to reach wider. Absolutely important. And so most people trade time for income. But please understand this. Scaling is about building assets, is about building systems, is about building platforms. If you take into cognizance components of your business, for instance, one of the most critical components, and I've always talked about this, I mentioned this yesterday, is in the area of distribution. Whatever platform that you have, how do we serve what you have? I mentioned a saying from somebody that I listened to, Mr. Kwayo, and it says that, and I said this yesterday, so I'll repeat it again today. And it says, that don't let a man with a superior product, but a mediocre distribution channel think that it can even be equated or at the same level with someone with an average product, but a fantastic distribution channel. So the platform by which you distribute, by which you propagate, by which you spread, remember, technology enables you to be able to spread wider and spread faster, will determine just how well you do in the market. Because if it is true that business development is essentially about increment in revenue, is about increment in revenue and increment in revenue and increment in revenue and increment in market share and increment in what's it called now? An increment in am I streaming? I understand that I'm not streaming live. Why is that not so? Why is that not so? Oh my goodness, we're having some great network issues today. Why is that not so? It shows me that I'm streaming, right? Yeah. Okay. So I am streaming. All right. So if you're not having increment in revenue, if you're not having increment in market share, if you're not having increment in revenue and market share, then the odds are that you're not going to be able to make the kind of revenue that you want. And it's leveraging on technology that multiplies your value that allows you to be able to access that. How are you going to get the kind of customers that you want? How are you going to get the kind of leverage that you want? How are you going to get the kind of market share that you want if you don't have a platform that allows you to reach the people that you need to reach? Remember, there's something about the principle of enough. There is a critical point that you must, there is an intensity that you must attain in the same place. There's a share of the market that you must have. and that's very important. That's very, 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 very important. All right. Um, okay. So let's look at what it looks like, so that it's clear, because this is a struggle a lot of people have. It's a massive struggle a lot of people have. Every time that your business is effort based, you're going to have a lot of constant hustle. We talked about that already. You have limited reach. In the process of having limited reach, you're trying so hard, but you're not getting beyond the point. You're going to get exhausted, and you're going to be dependent on physical time. Every time that you scale value, you're going to have structured leverage. Your reach will be significantly expanded. Because you've been able to also build systems in place, you will have sustainability. And then, of course, those systems that you're dependent on will deliver to you a credible platform. Now, you understand why this is important. The reason why all of everything I've said to you is so important is because scaling is not just about building systems, it's about building the systems that deliver credibility to you. Once you are able to deliver consistently value at a level, then trust comes in. Because, and once trust is there and there's credibility, then scaling goes further and becomes even more exponential. So understand how this works. People scale faster when they're trusted, when their quality is consistent, and when their reputation is strong. All right. And how do you build the scale? You have to be able to deliver. So I need you to be able to give me a product. You give me the product. Oh, maybe I ordered 20 last time. I need 50 now. You're able to deliver that 50. I can trust you to deliver 100. But if I need 20 and you can't give me 10, then I can't trust you to deliver 40. Do you understand? And so your ability to have multiplied value is essential to even unlocking your growth. Essential to even unlocking your growth. So why do many people fail to scale? Hmm. Why do many people fail to scale? A number of reasons could be responsible for this, but I'll share a few with you. They think small. You're afraid to expand. You're the scope of what you're doing. You've not been able to figure out how to be able to do it on a level that is bigger than what you're doing around right now. So you're thinking small. Another reason, which is very important and cogent, as I have seen in my experience, is that you refuse structure. And structure is not that you say wake up and say, no, I don't want structure. No, you don't do the things that put structure. So in other words, you refuse structure. Another thing that they do is that you're afraid of giving out control. So delegation is a problem. You really do, or you also lack the ability to communicate your vision. You also lack certain leadership skills. And so growth becomes difficult. And that's why many people fail to scale. So you have to learn to stop thinking as a worker, for instance. You have to learn to stop thinking as a performer. And when I say stop thinking as a performer, I'm meaning thinking that everything depends on your performance. You have to learn to stop thinking as a doer. What does that remind you of? You have to learn to stop thinking as an engine. And you have to begin thinking as an engineer. So, how does an engineer think? Start thinking as a builder, start thinking as a strategist, start thinking as a multiplier. A builder, strategist, multiplier. So, the question that you're asking now, and many people are asking, is hmm, how do I, well, what do I do? What do I do to reach more people without training me? And that's a very, very valid question. I don't know how many people are live right now with me, but if that's a question you've ever asked yourself, please signify or indicate to me in the chat section. What can I do to reach more people, to scale the value that I have without losing myself, without burning out, without draining? What can I do to do all of that? What can I do to do all of that? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. And I want you to pay attention to this. Very, 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 very important. I need you to ask yourself certain questions. What can you systemize? Think about all your operations. Think about the entire scope of all that you're doing in your business right now and ask yourself, what can I systemize? What can you delegate? You don't have to do everything all by yourself. What can you delegate? Repeatedly be done without without having the personal, physical, individualistic input. What can be automated? What can be automated? And how do you document all of that? In other words, what can you document? And I say to you, everything. Document your processes, document your schedules, document your strategy, document your goals, document your plans, document your execution methodologies, document. And ultimately, what can you turn into a platform? Because it's the platform that delivers that leverage. What can you systemize? What can you delegate? What can you automate? What can you document? What can you turn into a platform? Because I want you to look at the bigger picture. I want you to understand, and this is all about scaling value. I want you to understand that value will deliver opportunities to you. But scaled value, which is significantly different, will create influence, which you need for significant market share, will create sustainability, which you need for a great reputation and trust in the marketplace, which will ultimately deliver wealth to you, which will ultimately speak to your legacy. That's the bigger picture. That's the bigger picture that I want you to have. That's the bigger picture that I want you to leave this month of May with. The bigger picture. It's no longer about scale. It's no longer rather about value, because you were not meant for endless hustle. That's not what you were designed for. That's no reason why you started what you were doing. It's not about endless hustle. You have got to be able to multiply. And multiplication is essential to everything. So don't just create value, my friends. Don't just create value. Multiply it. Build systems around it. Expand its reach so that it increases its impact. And if you're able to think along these lines and sit down, yesterday at the AU Value Exchange program, I gave a number of tools, from the Casper to the OKRS to the McKinsey 7S to the EOS to the EOS to the Rapid. All right, I gave a number of stuff, and there are many more that you can begin to interrogate. You can research, apply yourself, study, learn these things, multiply the value that you have, build systems around it, expand its reach. What you're doing is good, but you've got to be able to serve more people with what you're doing, for what you're doing to deliver value at the level that it should deliver to you. And it's not just going to happen because you've prayed about it. That's good. It's not just going to happen because you wish for it to happen. That's just flawed three thoughts of your mind. It's going to happen because you build systems around it. It's going to happen because you are conscious, you're committed to be able to, you're saying to yourself, how can I serve people? Let me tell you a true life story. So there's a gentleman that you all know, but probably didn't know this story. He's reportedly the richest black man in the world, and certainly the richest man in Africa. His name is Aliko Dangote. And many years ago, Aliko sat down with his team and said, and it's a very interesting story, so stay with me. He sat down with his team and he said, I want you to put products in the market that every family will use between the time that they wake up and noon. I'll say that again. So Dangote said, I want to put in the market products that every family in Nigeria will use between the time that they wake up in the morning and midday. Sugar, salt, spaghetti, so on and so forth. But he realized, listen to me, he realized that in order for him to do that, he needed to pay attention to the platform that he will need to use to get those products to the people. The concept of channelization came in, and distribution became a thing. So all of a sudden, a company that was in, and listen, and this will be very instructive for somebody, all of a sudden, a company that was in fast moving consumable goods had to start paying attention to logistics and transportation, had to start paying attention to haulage, had to start paying attention to distribution. It's not just what you produce that will get you the kind of market impact that you want. You have to think outside the box, and stay with me. You have to think outside the box and think of what has an effect or what can serve as a platform. For some of you, do you realize that there's certain things that you need to think outside of what the core of what you do that is important to what you do? Do you understand what banks do? Banks provide financial services to you, right? And when you think of a bank, you think of financial services. But do you understand that banks also take into cognizance real estate? They also have to take into cognizance architecture. They have to take into cognizance e-payments and technology to be able to deliver financial services to you. Question I'm asking you today is this, as I begin to round up a few minutes after 8 o'clock. What do you have to think of outside the core of what you do that will help to serve what you do, that will help to multiply uh, the value that you give, that will help to scale the value that you give, that will serve as a platform to help you reach more people that you can and help more people be in a position to exchange value for the value that you bring. There might just be the answer that unlocks your wealth. There might just be the answer that unlocks your influence. There might just be the answer that increases your revenue. There might just be the answer that increases your market share. And there might just be the answer that delivers cost efficiency to you. Think about it. Think about all the businesses that you know that are doing amazingly well, exceedingly well. Think about it. And I'm asking you this Sunday night, the last Sunday in the month of May, on this final episode of the Game of Value series. And I'm asking you, what do you have to do outside of what you term as your core deliverable that makes way for your core deliverable? When you think about all those businesses, you realize that there's investment in other areas that help them deliver. It's not going to come by just focusing on the value that you have. You must first understand that that value must be served. A quote that I have that I've been saying for many years is that if you have a gift for the world, then you better pay attention to how that gift will be received, how you're going to deliver that gift. I'll say it again. If you have a gift for the world, which is by way of your business, your initiative, your enterprise, and everything that you're doing, then you better pay attention to how that enterprise, how that business, how that product, how that service, and how ultimately that experience will be delivered to the people that will receive it, that are now rightly positioned to utilize it, maximize it, and in other words, exchange value for the value that you're giving. Food for thought there. Food for thought there. Food for thought there. And that really is what I came to deliver to you, because truth of the matter is that your growth changes when your value stops depending on you. But you have to recognize what else your value needs to depend on so that you can activate it. That's the game of value, folks. That is the game of value. So, I want to thank you for being with us all through the month of May, the May series, the Game of Value. I want to thank you for and sincerely apologize for the disruptions that we've had this weekend, in delivering and serving you. But still, I'm hoping that you have been able to get quite a bit from what we say. So if you go to the comment section right now, I want you to be able to share with me. I want to refresh lately, so just engage the comment section right now and share with me the things that you've gained. I'm going to refresh what I'm doing right now, but I want you to share with me the things that you've gained from the session that we've had. All right, do that, and all right. Let's have a conversation for a few more minutes. Okay, so what did you gain from today's session? All right, I want to hear from you. I want to read from you. What did you gain from today's session? What did you gain from today's session? Put the comments in your Facebook. For those of you on Facebook, those of you on YouTube, do share your thoughts with me. I want to be able to hear from you. Tell me what you gained. I mean, sometimes when I think about it, I say to myself that there's a way to unlock your growth as a business person. And your business is not your business. It's not what you think your business is. What makes business for you is not necessarily, it's not the product that you're giving. It's not the service that you're delivering. What makes your business grow? What makes your business be out there? What makes your business be what you want it to be? Many times lies in what is outside what you deliver. For some, it's looking at logistics. For some, you have to invest in channelization. For some, it's looking into real estate. For some, it's looking into other things that will propagate your business and take it to the next level. So I want to get your thoughts on that. Please do share with me. It's 15 minutes past 8 o'clock, and I'm going to be closing really soon. Again, thank you to everybody who's joined us tonight. Apologies for the disruption that we had earlier on. Thank you, massive thank you again to everybody who joined us yesterday for 5.5 hours on the Value Exchange Program, the 2026 edition. Thank you, and again, permit me to especially recognize our guest speakers from both the pre-event and the main event. For the pre-event, I want to especially again thank John Adam of Fresh Air Leadership Club. I want to thank UC George of the Productivity Academy. I want to thank Confidence Omolu. I want to thank Ezekiel Oluwaseun Kilani for being there. I want to thank our hosts, Favor David, Wina Achibong, and David Williams. And I want to especially thank our keynote speakers yesterday who did a tremendous job, an amazing job delivering value at such a high level. Not in any particular order of mention, but please help me celebrate, recognize, and honor Obio KK for such an amazing delivery. Help me recognize, celebrate, and honor Elisha Maman for such great delivery as well. Help me celebrate, recognize, and honor Adeni Alfred Atiba, for just being gracious, with so much wisdom. Thank you to everybody that joined us. Thank you for those that were there for all of the 5.5 hours. Thank you and thank you. And please understand that to the winners of the clarity session with me, that will be arranged by the back end team, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you this week to run your sessions for and with you. I'm excited about it. It's my gift to you, and we're going to make so much with it this week. Thank you, everybody who's been a part of this. Please understand that the Connect holds every Sunday right here on this platform by 7 p.m. Usually runs for 1 hour. We normally don't exceed 8 o'clock. The reason why I gave an extra time today was because of the bit of disruption that we had at some point today. So thank you, everybody. Thank you and thank you. Have a great productive week, and then we're going to see you in the month of June. June is all about leadership, and so the conversations that we're having in the month of June are all about leadership. And just like I announced earlier, we're going to be having Dr. Edward Albay joining us from the United Kingdom, the city of London. And we'll be talking about adaptive leadership and diving into other areas of leadership. You don't want to miss that. Tell a friend. The flyers, the information will be out. Please do follow me on all my social media platforms so that you stay updated. And if you're in the Value Exchange Community WhatsApp group, please do stay there. There's so much that you're going to be receiving. Remember, it's about value for value. And I can't wait to see you at the top. Have a great Sunday evening, and God bless you as you step into the month of June. See you in the month of June. Let's keep walking the pathway of champions. Good night, everyone.